Historical Society, giving our history a great future. Become a member today.
Walking into the building for the first time after the shooting, it was crippling, but it had to be preserved.
In response to the Pulse nightclub shooting that affected the LGBTQ community, Barbara Poma, owner of Pulse, founded the One Pulse Foundation to honor Pulse victims and survivors.
If you're an ally of this community, speak out. There are more of us together than apart. It is the power of love in its rawest form.
Join the fight for LGBTQ acceptance. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM at HD1 San Francisco. An Odyssey station.
Good morning, Diarrhea!
It's time to wake up. It's 5, and we're live.
Oh, is this thing on? I don't care. I want him to hear.
This is the Pregame Show, your early morning shot of sports on 95.7 The Game. Come on!
This is the Pregame Show. I am your host, Joe Spadoni. And for the next hour, we are going to be diving into a tremendous amount of content as it pertains to the Golden State Warriors. Sprinkling some Giants, getting off the schneid last night, getting the dub. So welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is the Pregame Show once again. And if you want to get involved, and I encourage you all to do so, love it when you guys get involved. Whether that's via YouTube or Twitch, we are streaming there. Good morning. Just search 95.7 The Game in either search bar, like, subscribe. You know the rest. Also, you can call in or text in. Please, no texting and driving. Pull over. Hands free. Do all that. 888-957-9570. 888-957-9570. That's the number to call or text on the Comcast Business text line. And also be sure to download the Odyssey app and favorite 95.7 The Game for all of your Niners, football's coming up, Warriors, Summer League action, Lester Quinones continues to ball, and San Francisco Giants, who again, as I mentioned, got the job done yesterday. 2-0 win over the Seattle Mariners. They salvaged that series, and they desperately needed a win, and they got it. Still 7 games over. Still only 3 back, by the way, of the Arizona Diamondbacks for the division. So why are we all freaking out again? What's this big fuss about? I mean, there's 7 games over with the chance to hammer the Rockies before heading to the break with potentially 10 games over. I think you would take that if you were a San Francisco Giants fan at the start of the year. Hell, you take 7 games over. You just want to be in the hunt. That's all that matters. Be relevant towards the end of the year. That's the expectations for the Giants, not winning a World Series. Sure, it'd be nice. Baseball's weird. Anything can happen. I get that, but it ain't happening with this starting pitching. Although, if Logan Webb looks like Logan Webb and Alex Cobb looked like he did last night, got a shot. I still feel, though, you need at least 3 legit starters in the playoffs before you start mucking it up with bullpen games and pulling guys early and stuff like that. You go 3 legit starters, you got an opportunity to win a series and maybe go a long, long way. 888-957-9570. If you would like to talk some Giants, good morning on the YouTube chat to Luis Roberson, Brandon Cadiz. Appreciate you all chiming in at this hour of the day. It's a Thursday, which feels like a Tuesday, the worst day of the week, but it's actually a Thursday, the best day of the week. So I don't know what to feel. Also, I don't know what to feel when I hear something so ridiculous that I need to set it up first. And we had a tremendous day of content yesterday at 95.7 The Game. To hell, whoever said this is the dog days of sports talk radio. July 6th? No, not here in the Bay, because we've got Warriors content to last us a lifetime. It's pretty unbelievable. This Draymond Jordan Poole thing is never going to go away. It's just not. Good morning, El Guero, who's locked in on his usual way to the Bay for work. Good morning, El Guero, and to all you workers out there for just getting off work, getting ready for work, getting ready for school, vacation, whatever you're doing. Glad you're joining in here again, whether it's the Odyssey app, YouTube, Twitch, or the old-fashioned way on the dial. I appreciate you choosing me and choosing the station at 888-957-9570 if you wish to chime in. And also, before I get back to the tremendous day of content we had at the station yesterday, as it pertains to Warriors content, next week, we bring you the All-Star Week blowout. Do you want to win a signed Steph or Clay jersey? Oh, that sounds awesome. How about fitness or boxing lessons from Evolve Fitness? Whew. I know Elon and Zuck might. Maybe a $250 gift card to Alexander's Steakhouse or Blonde Vino interests you. Oh, a little food, little wine. It all starts Monday and goes through the entire week. Every show, every day, you'll have a chance to win great prizes. It's 95.7 The Game's All-Star Week blowout. Just be locked and loaded, people. Starting next week, you can win a bunch of prizes. We got some golf in there as well. You want to golf with Steiny Goo? You want to golf with Shasky Bonte, Willard Dibbs? Any of those guys? No, they didn't include yours truly, but that's all right. You hit me up on the weekends and I'll come play. Not on the company dime. Probably have to split it up a little bit, but I'll still come out and play. Any excuse to get out of the house. I got 2 kids and a bunch of problems. And speaking of problems, so the Golden State Warriors had last year prior to the season starting. And listen, you've heard me mention on the show a lot. We don't shy away from the topics that a lot of Warriors fans want to shy away from, and that's the punch. Draymond Green, Jordan Poole. The rest is history. Poole's gone. CP3 is in. Draymond extended. It's all over, right? Well, Rick Bucher, Fox Sports, joined Steiny and Goo yesterday. Rick Bucher, former host here at 95.7 The Game, former sideline reporter with the Golden State Warriors. Here's Bucher talking about why Golden State soured on Jordan Poole. Take a listen.
But I put that on Jordan Poole. Like, Jordan was on a lot of players' nerves way before that, including Clay's and Steph's. And Draymond was finally the one who tipped the scales and went overboard. And I'm not defending at all what he did. But after he did it, Draymond tried everything possible to remedy that situation. And Jordan would have none of it. And I'm just looking at it as, Jordan, you have an opportunity to learn and exceed Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors, and a team that has put its eye on the prize of winning championships every chance they can. And you can't get over this situation with Draymond when Draymond's going to be gone at some point, and this is going to be yours. You couldn't see the big picture, and instead remained difficult, made sure that elephant was still in the room. As a young guy, there's a part of me that understands. Maybe he just wasn't mature enough to get around that. But I look at it as, who did it cost the most? It cost Jordan Poole the most, as I look at it.
Okay. And that, again, was Rick Bucher, Fox Sports, joined Steiny and Guru yesterday. If you want to catch that whole interview, be sure to download the Odyssey app, favorite 95.7 The Game, also Twitch and YouTube as well. All right. Where do you want to start here? I know Rick said, he's like, listen, I'm not absolving Draymond of anything. The punch was horrible. Okay. There's some words and phrases that he used in there that I simply do not vibe with at all. Mature enough to get over it. First off, the word mature, as if getting punched in the face and handling it the way he did wasn't mature. I mean, did Poole come out and crush Draymond Green at all? What did we hear from Jordan Poole on this? Nothing. It was everyone else concocting their own narratives surrounding it. JP, silent throughout. But according to Bucher, keeping that quote-unquote elephant in the room in the Warriors locker room as it pertained to Draymond punching him in the face. Okay. I don't think that's crazy. Not when the team kept that elephant in the room as well. You can blame Jordan Poole for not getting over it if you want, but maybe he would have gotten over it had the organization had the guts to do something about Draymond. I don't know. Maybe suspend him for a game. Not that difficult. You know what? At least I know the team has my back at that point. And maybe, just maybe, then I could get over it. If the company I worked for actually punished the guy that punched me in the face and not act like, oh, actually, nothing to see here. It's fine. Draymond won 4 titles for us. So actually, you know what? We'll keep this in-house and we'll push through. Right, Jordan? Right? Yeah, sure. At that point, yeah, I'm not getting over it anymore. And the notion and the gall to tell someone to get over it, by the way, I'm not saying Rick Bucher saying that. He's saying that's what he heard from his sources. So I'm not crushing Rick right here. But the notion that someone should just get over it after getting punched in the face, it's a bit disingenuous. If you've ever gotten punched in the face, pretty sure it's hard to get over, unless you're in boxing, UFC, that line of work. It's a little hard to. And especially when it's your own teammate who, again, did not get punished. So 888-957-9570. I would love to have your thoughts on that, on the notion that, you know, even prior to the punch happening, JP's act was quote-unquote getting old with some of the Warriors players in that locker room. Which is weird because just literally a few months prior, they were all celebrating a championship and Jordan Poole was a key cog in a championship run. So is it the money aspect? Was it just, listen, I got my ring, I did my job, I'm getting paid, I don't care anymore? Well, it's happened loads of times. And he did his job, you got the ring. I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around the notion that these guys soured that quickly on a young guy in the organization that had just had a fantastic year with them. I don't know the inner workings of Steph's and Jordan Poole's relationship. I can only go off what Steph Curry has said in the past, and what Steph has said in the past is that him and JP have got along great. That there was no defending Draymond Green's actions. That right after the punch happened, people were leaking reports and media were speculating, oh, well, Jordan Poole probably asked for it. You know what? I'm sure this is all Jordan Poole's fault anyways. No. Andre Iguodala, a longtime leader of this team, and Stephen Curry, the leader of this franchise, came to bat for him immediately on social media and saying, you know what? No, that's BS. JP didn't do anything wrong. No one deserves to get punched in the face. That's flat out BS. They said that. So if you want to go say, oh, well, behind the scenes they didn't. Well, I can only go off what I know. And I have a hard time seeing Stephen Curry, Mr. Fantastic, being okay with what Draymond did. 888-957-9570. Good morning, T-Rock. The chair noise is bleeding on air, Spadoni. It might not be the chair, T-Rock. It might be this mic stand that's making all that noise. Maybe I should be careful. I realized as I watched the video of when I snapped the mic a couple weeks ago that I'm a big fidgeter as it pertains to the mic. We just need some WD-40 in there to get rid of the squeak. But I'm a big fidgeter, a la Mark Willard, who's broken many a mic, and Matt Steinmetz. I just don't stand up and do it like Steiny. Steiny's the only guy I ever really see do that. Shasky a little bit. But standing up and really doing it. I started studying and copying all the other hosts. I don't stand up. Bonte doesn't stand up. Dibbs does not stand up. Unless he's like just starting the show or doing the crosstalk. It's a little different. And Willard does not stand up. It's just a little interesting. Maybe that tells something about us if you're a body language expert at 888-957-9570. JC, the point was he couldn't get over it, and then it has to take some maturity to get past that at some point, and he couldn't. No, JC. That doesn't take maturity. I just vehemently disagree with that. He could have gotten over it if the organization had done something about it. I'm not blaming Jordan Poole here. Be more mature. You got punched. Get over it. No. It's a traumatic experience. And to put that under the umbrella of maturity, I think is disingenuous and lacks context. The organization should have done right by their employee and punish the offender, signaling that they had the victim in this situation, they had that victim's back. He didn't do that. So no, after that, Jordan Poole was just not going to sweep it under the rug like a lot of people wanted in the organization. He was going to be let it known throughout the entire year. Yeah, this guy did this and you guys didn't do anything about it and it's going to ruin our season. Sorry. That's what's going to happen. And it's going to be either him or me. And you're probably going to pick him because he's won 4 titles. But you know what? That's fine. That's your bed. You laid in it. I want out of here. And I can't fault JP for that. I can't fault him. I also can't fault the Golden State Warriors for picking Draymond instead. Because at the end of the day, he's a 4-time champion. And losing JP is a lot easier to swallow in hopes for another championship than had you lose Draymond Green. I understand all that. But I'm not going to sit here and have revisionist history on the entire thing. Just not. 888-957-9570. 415, what are they supposed to say? They couldn't have said anything, if that's what you're talking about. Comcast Business text line. If you're alluding to Iguodala and Steph, they could have just said nothing. You know, Kevon Looney, who I like to think one of the leaders of the team, the guy plays every single day. He should have a significant voice. You know, he said Draymond has to earn their trust back. That was the guy. So I wonder, with a guy like Kevon Looney, how he feels about this entire situation heading into next season. I just wonder. Soft-spoken guy, but clearly has an impact in that locker room. And should. Again, because he plays every single day. Just like Jordan Poole did. It's going to be another interesting layer as we move on here in the conversation. We'll still take your calls and texts on that quote from Rick Bucher as it pertains to Jordan Poole and Draymond Green, 888-957-9570. But JP, Kevon Looney, they played every single day. Now you're moving forward, trading for a guy in CP3 that, listen, notoriously gets injured when it matters most, and that comes in playoff time. But here's what Anthony Slater said in regards to Chris Paul potentially accepting a bench role that could lead him, you know, to be healthier come playoff time. Take a listen.
I think it's why you pay Steve Kerr a lot of money. I mean, I think these are difficult conversations, and, you know, maybe there's test runs here and there, or maybe it's like, depending on the matchup, you go different lineups, but these are conversations that probably don't even really have to happen until you get towards September. But my expectation is it's all going to come to a point where it's pretty obvious that, especially in the regular season, the Warriors should stick with their traditional starting five, which last season when they were together, which wasn't that much because of Wiggins, but when they were together was still the best per minute lineup in the league. You go back to the playoffs previously, they won the title with that starting lineup. Stay with that. Chris Paul can be, on certain nights, a high-usage bench player. On other nights, a low usage, right? I mean, you do not want to overburden Chris Paul in the regular season. He can close in certain matchups and not in others. But no, I think it's pretty obvious he should be a bench player. But, yeah, I mean, obviously, delicate conversations maybe need to happen.
Delegate conversations need to happen. That's our Anthony Slater, our 95.7 The Game insider. Does a hell of a job for The Athletic, more tapped in to the team than anyone. But Slater feels like that's the best role, and that is going to be the role for Chris Paul going forward. Will he accept that? Should he accept that? Well, he's 38 years old. He's never won a title. If you want to win a title, buy into the culture, if you will. Buy into your role, and good things will probably happen. Now, there's going to be many a times this season where I think his role is going to change, a la Jordan Poole last year. But the difference is Chris Paul has been around the block. He knows how to adapt more than a player like Jordan Poole at this stage in his career. He's a future Hall of Famer. He's been there. He's done that. He's seen everything. There's nothing he hasn't seen in this league as it pertains to coming off the bench, as it pertains to different starting units, whether to slow it down, whether to speed it up. Hell, he was in D'Antoni's 7 seconds or less offense. He was back in the Charlotte days, and they're slowing it down, him and David West. He's done it everything. Lob City. So I think he will be able to ingratiate himself smoothly into this offense. Ramona Shelburne, ESPN, agrees.
When I talk to Warriors folks, they seem really excited about it because he's a grown-up, he's a hell of a player. One of the things that you can't even walk in the door if you don't have basketball IQ. Like if you're about, to play for the Warriors, and that Chris Paul's got basketball IQ, right? I mean, he's obviously one of the greatest point guards of all time, and thinks the game at a really high level, very tough-minded. I think he can, he's not seen as a great defender, but he is. Like I used to love watching him guard Kobe when the Lakers and Clippers would go at it, right? Like Chris would just get low, then he'd guard Kobe. Hey, he's sort of not afraid of anybody. So I'm interested to see how this shakes out because there's a part of me that's like, Chris, you say you can call out Draymond or stand up to Draymond. I don't know. I don't know that you try that with Dre. Like Dre's won 4 titles. Maybe you might say something, but I don't know if that's his place.
I think I could, to Ramona Shelburne's point. I think Chris Paul can stick up to Draymond Green and fire back at him. I mean, he's earned that equity. He's a future Hall of Famer. Doesn't matter if he hasn't won the rings. He's been to the finals. He's had multiple playoff runs. So I think he could. I don't think it'd blow up or anything big. I think all of these guys at this point in their career see the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is this picture is fading. I mean, they got 3 years left. Maybe 4, depending on what Draymond Green does in his last year, the player option. But it sure feels like it's these next 3 years, and that's it. And with Chris Paul, hell, it could be a few months and then bye-bye. Here's Anthony Slater, more from him, our 95.7 The Game insider, discussing that 3-year window for the Big Three, setting up a potential farewell tour. Take a listen.
I think it was smartly structured on both sides. I mean, Draymond obviously gets the win when he's 37 years old. He's going to be making $27 million on a player option for a season that the Warriors weren't trying to give him. They were trying to give him a 3-year deal. That's a huge win on the back end. But I think it's smart from the Warriors side to mortgage that down the line when Steph Curry will be aged out of his prime for the front side, which is like they slash the tax bill. And I know fans don't necessarily care about that, but that's very important within the front office and how they maneuver and their flexibility. They really slash the tax bill back to like a more appetizing level and add that into the Chris Paul for Jordan Poole, I guess, switch they made this summer. I think this all makes it very likely that and everyone's saying last dance, I think it's very likely Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry now are here for the next 3 years. Yeah. So I think we're talking about kind of an extended farewell tour that's going to last beyond the season.
What's that mean to Golden State Warriors fans at 888-957-9570 to see those three guys finish their careers, start to finish, I should say, in a Golden State Warriors uniform? That feels unprecedented. Like, that feels like something you haven't seen since like the 50s or 60s when there was 8 teams in the league. And people were just loyal back then. Because you had to be, because there were only 8 teams. But in this day and age, with free agency the way it is, the way the salary cap is structured, having 3 core guys and 3 future Hall of Famers start and finish their career with the same franchise and never leaving in between that, I don't know if we'll ever see that again. And I think that would be a pretty special feat to see. And it's one that fans would love to see. Now, ultimately, it's the one guy that they would like to be in a Warriors uniform for his whole career, and that's Stephen Curry. But if you could add in Klay and Dre, that might be the most special trio a fan base has ever had in the history of sports. Your thoughts, 888-957-9570. We are live up on Twitch, on YouTube. Good morning to all of you beautiful people chiming in. Got some more thoughts I will discuss on the other side as it pertains to what Rick Bucher said, as it pertains what JC on the YouTube chat has said. He is saying something that I vehemently disagree with as it pertains to Jordan Poole. We'll get to that on the other side. Again, 888-957-9570 is the number. Comcast Business text line, call or text that. And check this out. What if I told you that the Warriors potentially could have added a top 75 player of all time? Well, one reporter thought it could have happened, and we'll discuss that next on the other side, right here on the pregame show. Joe Spadoni, 95.7 The Game.
Coming up next week, we're giving you a chance to win some incredible prizes on 95.7 The Game, including a Steph Curry autographed jersey,
Bay Area,
Klay Thompson autographed jersey, golf with 95.7 The Game hosts, tickets to see Jerry Seinfeld, tickets to see Ice Cube, E40, and so much more.
Make some noise!
It's the All-American All-Star Week blowout. All week long, beginning Monday on 95.7 The Game.
Oh, it's a celebration. You know what that means. It's an Oakland Athletics victory, ladies and gentlemen. Damn right. Our Oakland Athletics. 12-3 over the Tigers. That's 2 in a row. They can win them close, like they did on Tuesday, 1-0. Independence Day in Detroit. Or they could smash them. And at one point it was 12-0. And look at the A's, sneakily. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 wins in the last 5. And don't look now, folks. Only a half game back of the Kansas City Royals for the worst record in the entire major leagues. Don't sleep on the A's. They're getting hot now. They're getting hot. 888-957-9570. The pregame show's hot right now. Appreciate all y'all chiming in at this hour of the day. Again, we are streaming live on Twitch, on YouTube. Search 95.7 The Game, like and subscribe for all of your Warriors, Niners, Giants coverage, live and local, all day. And also be sure to download that Odyssey app, favorite 95.7 The Game, for all of our awesome interviews we had yesterday. We've been playing sound from Anthony Slater. We'll have more from him, our 95.7 The Game insider who joined the morning roast yesterday. Fantastic as always. Ramona Shelburne, senior writer over at ESPN, doing a hell of a job there, joined Willard and Dibbs. And Rick Bucher, old friend here at the station, now at FS1, joining Steiny and Guru yesterday with some interesting thoughts regarding Jordan Poole. Let's take one more listen to that if you're just joining us.
2, but I put that on Jordan Poole. Like, Jordan was on a lot of players' nerves way before that, including Clay's and Steph's. And Draymond was finally the one who tipped the scales and went overboard. And I'm not defending at all what he did. But after he did it, Draymond tried everything possible to remedy that situation. And Jordan would have none of it. And I'm just looking at it as, Jordan, you have an opportunity to learn and exceed Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors, and a team that has put its eye on the prize of winning championships every chance they can. And you can't get over this situation with Draymond when Draymond's going to be gone at some point, and this is going to be yours. You couldn't see the big picture, and instead remained difficult, made sure that elephant was still in the room. Look, as a young guy, there's a part of me that understands. Maybe he just wasn't mature enough to get around that. But I look at it as, who did it cost the most? It cost Jordan Poole the most, as I look at it.
Well, we'll see on that, too, by the way. That was Rick Bucher again, joining Steiny and Guru yesterday. We'll see who it costs the most. Because if the Warriors never win another championship, I'm going back to that punch. And we'll see who it costs the most. Because in the next 3 or 4 years, when Steph, Dre, and Clay are all gone, Jordan Poole will still have a chance. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens as it pertains to the Golden State Warriors. Next year, they moved on. Is that dark cloud, quote unquote, lifted, as Draymond Green called it, as Steve Kerr called it after the year, the dark cloud that hung over the organization after the punch occurred? We shall see. We shall see. But again, the maturity aspect, if you will, and getting over it can only occur when the organization actually handles their own responsibility and punishes a player that punches another player in the face. That's when the healing process can actually begin. There actually has to be consequences first, and then healing can happen. That's usually how it works in society. You go to jail, you do your time, I'm not saying Draymond Green. I'm not equating Draymond Green going to jail because he punched his teammate. I'm saying that's how punishment usually works. You get a fine. You go to jail. Something happens. You get suspended from school. That's how it always has worked. And then that's when the healing process begins after that. Starts with a suspension. Get the white slip or pink slip, whatever it was in high school. Get the fine, you get the yellow ticket. Oh, and then I go to traffic school. Okay, I learned my lesson. Oh, I go to detention. I learned my lesson. Oh, I get suspended from school. Learn my lesson. And that's when the healing process can truly begin. 888-957-9570 is the number. JC from the YouTube chat. I'm just not with the victim narrative. We will agree to disagree. Dre should have a long time away from the team at the time, though. Should have had a longer time away from the team at the time, though. It's not a narrative. You say, I'm not with the victim narrative. It's not a narrative. I'm not just conjuring up some fake news. That happened. There was a perpetrator and there was a victim. That's what it is. It's not a narrative. That happened. He got punched. And now we're going back and saying, well, we don't know what he said. We know he wasn't the most popular guy in the locker room. It doesn't matter. In every work environment, you're working with people every single day that you might not get along with outside of the building, but for the good of the show, for the good of the station, for the good of whatever workplace you have, you're putting it past you. For the betterment of the team, for the organization that you represent. Instead, that didn't happen. And we're still talking about it damn near a year later. And we're going to continue to talk about it because it signaled a turning point within the organization. It was the reason they didn't win last year, and it could potentially be the reason they don't win again. Now we'll see. Chris Paul coming in changes things. Is that dark cloud going to be lifted? Are all the Golden State Warriors players on board with what happened and what went down this offseason as it pertained to moving on from Jordan Poole? I'm not sure. I think we all assume that, oh, he's gone, so we're all fine. Everyone's fine in that locker room. I'm not so sure about that. The way Kevon talked last year about Draymond Green having to earn his trust back with the team, the way Andrew Wiggins and Jordan Poole had a great relationship, Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, two young guys that probably vibed well with Jordan. I'm not so sure it's just as easy as moving on from a guy and everything's going back to hunky-dory in the way it was. Shout out Harry Styles as it was. I'm not so sure. 888-957-9570. Good morning to all of you on Twitch, on YouTube. Oh, from the 808 on the Comcast Business text line. I punched a coworker. I got probation for a year and a half. Draymond should have gotten suspended. I still think Poole talks too much. That's fine. But we all can agree it wasn't a narrative, a victim narrative. There was a legitimate victim in this, and it has been victim blaming for a lot of this Warriors fan base. And hell, even if you're not a Warriors fan, the media, it's a lot of victim blaming going around here. And because the victim wants to be quiet in this situation and not speak on it, people are trying to speak for him. And that is what I have a problem with. That is what bothers me in this whole situation. And it's going to continue to bother me probably for the rest of my life. Until Jordan Poole feels comfortable to speak on it, then maybe I eventually can move on from it too. 888-957-9570. We got one more segment coming up here for you. Joe Shasky with the Cross Drover. Get his thoughts on what Rick Bucher had to say. Get his thoughts on the Giants getting a much-needed victory yesterday. Get his thoughts on a top 75 player potentially, maybe, could have joined the Golden State Warriors. And maybe, just maybe, he has some local ties. We'll discuss that on the other side of 95.7 The Game.
School on! Sing on!
Sounds like it's back to school time, and Staples has great prices on everything you need for school. Save on markers and crayons.
don't sound nuts to me, Joe Shasky. Joe Shasky joining me now for the crossover on the pregame show. Joe Spadoni. We've been discussing an awful lot of things. There you go. So good. This was probably my favorite song from them. AT Aliens.
Can I just be real when it comes to Outkast?
You certainly can. Miss Jackson's also really good.
They're one of the few artists in the modern era that actually gave you product. And so I think it's elevated their entire catalog. They have a great catalog. I'm not denying it. It's one of the great catalogs of all time. But because they didn't oversaturate the market with a ton of different songs and mixtapes and things like that, I think you view them on a higher pedestal.
I buy that. That's actually, we were talking about that the other day. Jade and I was like, you think Nirvana would ever be as popular as they were now if they just kept playing and they were like, and Kurt Cobain obviously was still alive, they're still doing music? Probably not. Like, because there was such a finite window, and you could probably speak to that because that was like your generation when you were younger.
Nirvana's amazing.
They are, but they think about what, like 3 albums or whatever they had? Like, if that.
It's like Sublime. Sublime's only a couple of albums, and then they remix 10,000 different songs.
That's exactly.
And we kind of hold it in a higher regard.
Yes, well, Bate doesn't. It's what fake reggae, as he calls it. Come on. It's reggae influence, is like we like to call it. That's what it's sampling. We don't steal. We all sample. Artists everywhere sample. By the way, I keep hearing these songs.
Which one?
They sampled I'm Blue, Dabba Dee Dabba Die. It's like the David Guetta song. It's I'm good and I'm feeling all right. I was like, all right. That one kind of pissed me off a little bit. Let's just play the original song. I don't need samples of classics, all right? Like that one in particular.
Thank you.
David Guetta, I like a lot of your work. We don't need to be sampling some dubstep, some EDM that was already fine the way it was. But I'm an old man now. I'm 30 years old. Get off my lawn. Joe Shasky.
Not an old man. I wish I could go back in time.
There you go.
I'm jealous.
An awful lot of great interviews yesterday on 95.7 The Game. Anthony Slater, you guys did a hell of a job with him.
What?
Ramona Shelburne had this to say.
Let me guess. I'm closing my eyes. Mona, this is Willard. Young players can't help you.
It's Mark. It's Mark, actually. It's not Willard. It's Mark. We're on a first name basis. Yeah. Mona, this is Dan and Mark over here. And I'm turning into Gabe Kapler for some reason because they have the same voice. Here is Ramona Shelburne, though. Joe Shasky discussing.
Was it on Willard and Dibs?
It certainly was. And you can find that on the Odyssey app. Download that bad boy. Discussing the Warriors potentially maybe getting Damian Lillard. What?
They had another choice. I mean, they could have waited for Dame. You know, Dame is from the Bay Area. I know he was interested. Really? You know, if he got to the point where he was going to ask for a trade and, like, the list was given, the Warriors initially would have been on that list. But I think now it's not possible, right, because of the moves they've made, you know. They sort of locked in. They could have waited. I think they did smart thing by trading for Chris Paul when they did because they, you know, preserved the optionality. Plus, they get a really good player.
Okay. The Warriors could have waited prior to the whole Jordan Poole CP3 trade. And you know what? Could have waited and gotten Damian Lillard. I don't see that happening for a multitude of reasons. I know Ramona said that Dame would have had interest coming here, but why would the Warriors have interest in that? You think that would be the move that puts them over the top? The way I see it is, if you get Dame, you got to move off of Clay at that point. And I know the big boss man sent us an email late last night. You know, the money, the finances actually matched up.
It's as if he just found the NBA trade tracker.
So the NBA GM machine.
Yeah. Like, congratulations, big boss man.
But yes, their salaries would match. But then you're losing size. And listen, I'll grant Clay this: he's not the defender he used to be, but you're still losing length. And
Clay at this version is a better defender than Dame.
Yes,
Dame is one of the most overrated players of this generation.
Okay,
and he's a great player.
So you would agree
he's a great player.
You would agree with me that that move would not have put you over or above the Denver Nuggets or on their level.
Next year, set to make $45.6 million.
It's a lot of money.
The year after that, $49 million. Dame, look. Dame's a very, very good player. He is in the Hall of very, very good. For me, the Hall of very, very good.
Top 75.
I don't think he is a top 75 player. That's just me. Like,
I did not either.
You hitting a shot in the first round and pointing at a camera that you held onto the ball to the last second in a tie game, like, that's your signature moment. No, your signature moment is getting your teeth kicked in by the Warriors with one hand behind their back every single time that you played them. Steph was out, and then he came back, and the I'm back game, the Durant getting injured, and you're getting swept out. Anthony Davis sweeping you out. Like, Dame Lillard is a very, very, very good player, all right? He is one of the most overrated players of this generation. Plays zero defense, makes no one around him better, ball pounder, does not relocate. I'm so out on Damian Lillard.
Yeah, and it's actually kind of ironic because the whole conversation with Klay Thompson about getting snubbed from the top 75 team, he wore the number 76, right? Or 77 is what it was. That he felt snubbed, and a guy like Damian Lillard, that was a conversation on these airways, like, really? We're putting a guy that's never won a title, never been a part of 4 titles, and I know it was 3 prior to the 75 team thing when that was announced. But it's just interesting to look back on that whole kind of slight, if you will, and now this is the guy we want. And I know it. We love Dame, Oakland's own. Like, we love him around here. But I don't think he's putting you in that Denver Nuggets category just yet. And also, the injury concerns with him as of late scares me. Like,
totally.
he played just a year ago, he was playing 29 games. He played 58 last year. I know they shut him down late in the year, but he is not a guy that's going to give you anything on defense, and he ain't going to play off ball.
Who's he made better?
He's gotten C.J. McCollum paid.
A mediocre player who has a very good mouthpiece.
Played well with LaMarcus Aldridge.
For 5 seconds.
But that was it, right? Those are the two things. Like Nurkic, didn't really do much off of him.
Dame is a hypocrite. Dame has been one of the most outspoken people of super teams and recruiting. And dog, welcome to the modern sports landscape. If you ain't teaming up, you ain't trying. Like, this whole thing that Dame's a good soldier. He wanted to stay in Portland. He's gotten paid every single penny of every single max deal since day one. And so, this thing that he's a great teammate, I find him to be ridiculously hypocritical. He's super selfish when it comes to his own money, which is fine. That's his prerogative. But you can't have it both ways. If you want to be paid max money, part of being a max player and a franchise player is also, recruiting other max players to want to play with you.
Well, that's part of it, too, is if you're going to do that, if you're going to try to recruiting to a place that no one, let's be honest, no one wants to go to Portland in the NBA. It's not a sexy market.
He's a great player.
But you know what the greats do? The really good ones, they take a discount. You know what? I will try to get this person over here. I will try to facilitate a trade. Who do we need to talk to? I'll try to go at, I don't know, like a Joel Embiid type. I will take less money if that's what it means. Him getting the max every single time is every single opportunity and not really being able to attract other free agents, it signals me. It rings a little hollow when he says, you know what, I was quote unquote loyal and stuff like that. And by the way, have you seen the latest in regards to Damian Lillard and the reports from other NBA players, quote unquote, monitoring the situation as it pertains to the Portland Trailblazers doing right by Dame and taking, I don't know, a lesser deal to make him happy? That's not how the world works. Sorry. We paid him all this money, and we're going to try to get a king's ransom in return. That's just good business. And you guys, and the people monitoring the situation, by the way, the stars, if you will, you weren't coming here in the first place. No. So shut up. No. I'm going to get as much as I can for Dame. That when I saw that, actually kind of pissed me off.
Okay. If we were just go point guards of this generation, everyone goes Steph Dame. No one does Steph Dame. When we sit back 10 years from now, no one's going to go Steph to Dame.
No, I'll take James Harden over Damian Lillard.
Everyone is going to take James Harden over Damian Lillard. As much as James Harden's past is checkered and he's not someone who plays nicely with others, he's a better half-court offensive player than Dame.
Also won an MVP. I'll probably take Russ over him. I'll take Russell Westbrook, and I'll take CP3 over him.
I'm taking CP3 over him. And I think there's a lot of people that are going to take Kyrie. So you're looking at a guy who's not even a top. Again, this is just my prerogative. You want to disagree? I get it. He's local. I love that he's local. But you also have to take the homer hat off and say, hey, if he was born in Nebraska, you're still not taking him in the top 5 of point guards of this generation.
No.
You're just not.
Another interview we had yesterday in the station as we move past this. We got a couple minutes here. This crossover.
He's
Joe
a
Shasky.
high-volume shooter who doesn't relocate, doesn't set up others well, and literally does not play well with others off the court because no one wants to play with him. No one has ever said, I want to go to Portland with Dame. And you can say, Joe, that's because of the Portland situation. I've seen a lot of other crappier small market teams get players.
Yes. No, absolutely. Hell, we see it all the time in the NFL. They don't mind doing that. I know it's a different sport. But Damian Lillard, and he also...
just Dame triggers me.
No, it's fine. What triggered him was Ramona Shelburne on yesterday with Willard and Dibbs saying, maybe if they didn't trade Jordan Poole, they could have, traded for a guy like Damian Lillard. It is what it is. Hindsight's 2020.
I think CP3 is a better fit currently, even though he's way older.
Interesting.
I do.
All right. No, that's fair enough.
They need a facilitator. They need someone who's good.
They need a floor general.
Is Dame Lillard going to score 25-plus points? Absolutely. But is he going to unlock Kuminga and Moody and be a nice teammate who can play on or off ball alongside Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and all these guys that I mentioned?
I think he has the skill set to do it. I just don't think he would want to. Like, right? Do you think he would want to sacrifice that? And that was what it was.
He didn't even want to recruit.
When KD, Klay, Steph, Draymond, and Iguodala, like, it's about sacrificing your own egos.
Yes.
Like, that's what it is about this stage. Like, and you're going to see that now we move forward with Chris Paul, Draymond Green. Like, there's going to be some egos that need to be sacrificed. Which one is going to have to do that? Or is it everyone? Is the entire team? Like, that's the interesting point. And you guys were talking yesterday with Slater and Bucher was on with Steiny and Guru, and they were asking about, hey, Steve Kerr, like, this is a make or break season for him potentially. Like, he's going into a lame duck season. Are they going to extend him?
Make or break for his contract status?
Yes, I think so. As for his time with Golden State, if I'm Joe Lacob and looking at how things went down last year, I'm circling the head coach. I'm circling the GM now, which is Mike Dunleavy Jr. Obviously, Bob Meyer stepped down. I'm looking at them looking like, hey, we have the players. We have the finances back to this team. We better be in the finals, at least, if you want a contract extension, Steve. We can't be getting bounced in the second round by Darvin Ham. I get it. There was a punch. There was this dark cloud. Well, now that dark cloud's gone. We traded his ass, and we locked up our guy, Draymond Green, your guy, Draymond Green, that you caped so hard for, and said offseason that we need him back, and gave him all this leverage. So you got your guy. We got Chris Paul, a future Hall of Famer. You better get to the NBA Finals, Steve, or you're not being back with this team. Is that fair, Joe?
I think that's a little harsh because this is an older team. This is an older team that's been battling health, and I look at where they're at right now and his resume and what he's accomplished. One season doesn't make or break a coach. Like right now, for example.
But it was a bad season. It was his worst season. Would you agree that was his worst coach season?
For sure.
For the Warriors.
For sure. Now, there is an argument to be made, like it's separate of where he's at currently with the Warriors is it just run its course? Not that he's not great. He is great. But, like, I don't think Bruce Bochy would be doing what he's doing right now in Texas with the San Francisco Giants. I think it ran its course.
Yeah.
And I'm still bitter the way it went down, right? Because I do believe that Bruce Bochy kind of deserved an opportunity to kind of write his ending the way he wanted to end it. But I'm going to be real with you. Joey, 2018, he got outmanaged and out-rostered by Dave Roberts, and it was bad. Yeah. It was bad at the end. I think people have misremembered the final 2 or 3 seasons of Bruce Bochy.
Well, that's why I think a lot of Warriors fans are frustrated because they felt like talent-wise they were right there, if not better than the Lakers on paper, but what just showed up is the team aspect. Like the guys stepped up for the Lakers, the Austin Reeves, the Dennis Schroeders, the Lonnie Walkers, like those guys stepped up, and the guys that didn't step up, you felt like maybe they were on the bench too long. Maybe they didn't get an opportunity. A Gary Payton II, a Jonathan Kuminga.
Here's another thing I would throw out. You know, one of the key elements of his game has always been communicating with people. How does he communicate with the back end of that bench?
That's the thing, and that's an interesting
question. I think
he
needs to work on that this year.
And that's something that they may discuss right now, next, whatever you want to say, the Morning Roast, 95.7 The Game.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM at HD1 San Francisco. An Odyssey.